What if, with a snap of cosmic fingers, all the water in Earth's oceans vanished from here, and, in a flash of blue, reappeared on Mars? This wouldn't just be a change in scenery, it would be the universe's boldest experiment, and perhaps the greatest metaphor for how deeply we belong to a place, often without realizing it. Today I invite you to cross this imaginary bridge between worlds with me, because sometimes, the best way to understand Earth is by seeing it from the outside. For a moment, picture the sudden silence. In an instant, the waves that have cradled dreams since before humanity even existed dissolve into thin air. The Atlantic, the Pacific, the Indian, gone. Whales, confused, are left stranded in emptiness. The ports, now abandoned, echo with the silence of centuries of interrupted journeys. The scent of salt in the air disappears, the winds shift, and the familiar blue recedes from the planet. Coastal cities stare at a new horizon, an abyss where once there was movement, life, possibility. The sea has always been our primordial mirror. It is the liquid womb from which all life emerged. Removing Earth's oceans would be like tearing out the planet's soul. But if we gave them to Mars, could we offer that red neighbor a second chance? Let's suppose that somehow, all the water, about 1.35 billion cubic kilometers, were instantly teleported to Mars. What would we see? What would happen to Earth, to us, and to Mars? Earth without its oceans. First, let's face Earth. Without its seas, it would become a parched giant, its continents revealing scars once hidden by blue. The air, once fresh, would be choked with dust storms and unbearable heat. The planet's climate would unravel. Ocean currents that distribute energy would cease to exist. The rains would stop. Forests would wither. Fields would become deserts. In a matter of weeks, our world would become unrecognizable. Homo sapiens, creatures forged at the crossroads of land and water, would face rapid extinction. It's a humbling reminder. Our civilization, which feels so solid, is actually built atop shifting, restless seas. But the consequences go further. Oceans are the planet's largest carbon reservoir. Without them, CO2 levels in the atmosphere would skyrocket. The greenhouse effect would intensify, trapping heat beneath a cloudless sky. Even the air we breathe would change. Our cities would be invaded by salt and dust. The water cycle, that silent engine that weaves together rain, river, ocean, cloud, and life, would be brutally cut short. There would be no more tides, no surfers, no fishermen. The sound of waves would become just a memory. Marine life, of course, would vanish almost completely. Trillions of fish, crustaceans, algae, and microbes would simply cease to exist, and Earth would lose one of its oldest voices, the song of whales echoing across the planet long before humans learned to make fire. For a moment, imagine seeing Earth from space. Without the blue of its oceans, it would look less alive, a pale, cracked marble spinning in the dark. To a curious mind like Carl Sagan's, maybe this would be the saddest scene in the universe, a planet orphaned from its own liquid origin. Mars, the planet that gained a sea. Now, turn your gaze to Mars. For billions of years, it's been a frozen desert, battered by acidic winds and endless dust storms. But suddenly, in a near-divine spectacle, all of Earth's ocean water appears there. What would happen? Instantly, Mars would become a blue planet. Water would flood craters, fill valleys, and run through ancient, long, dry riverbeds. New seas would form in lowlands like Hellas Planitia. Vast lakes would reappear in Martian deserts. Perhaps a Martian ocean would cover much of the northern hemisphere where the land dips lower. Picture it: red polar caps melting, clouds forming, rain falling where only dust has lain for eons. The thin Martian air, so different from our own, would begin to fill with water vapor. And if temperatures allowed, we might even see the first Martian rainbow. Somewhere, a Martian child could one day play with water droplets for the very first time in that planet's history. But Martian reality is harsh. Its atmosphere is far too thin to hold on to all that water. Much of it would evaporate almost immediately, becoming vapor, then swept away by solar winds into space. Without a magnetic field like Earth's, Mars can't protect its air from the sun's relentless grip. The result? In a few 100,000 years, perhaps even less, most of that cosmic ocean would vanish, leaving behind only traces of rivers and seas, like liquid fossils in a red desert. Yet for a time, Mars would be a spectacle of potential life. Liquid water could allow life to flourish, perhaps imported from Earth, perhaps native, waiting eons for the right moment to bloom. Maybe on the shores of a Martian lake, some life form would find shelter, launching a new chapter in the story of our solar system. The impact on humanity. Meanwhile, we on Earth would witness our own private apocalypse. Oceans have always been our cradle, our pantry, our highway. Our history is told in harbors, lighthouses, shipwrecks, voyages, and discoveries. When Columbus sailed, he crossed seas, not deserts. When Charles Darwin shaped his theory of evolution, it was on islands surrounded by distant oceans. Our science, our culture, our music, all have been shaped by water. To teleport our oceans would be to erase half of our collective memory. What would it feel like to look toward a horizon where sunlight never glitters on water again? Poems would lose some of their meaning. Monet's paintings would look strangely out of place. Even the texture of longing would change without the sea. And paradoxically, we'd see Mars bloom. A small part of us might even feel pride. We became the gardeners of a new world. But at what cost? Would this be a triumph or an epitaph? The science of the impossible. Of course, all this is a wild hypothesis. We don't have the technology to teleport even a glass of water to Mars, let alone all our oceans. Teleportation, as imagined in science fiction, faces colossal challenges: energy demands, quantum stability, particle alignment, and every molecule of water would have to be perfectly reassembled or we'd lose everything to entropy. Moreover, Mars isn't just colder than Earth. It gets less sunlight, lacks tectonic activity, and its core no longer generates a protective magnetic field. If we poured our oceans there, they'd be swallowed by thin air, freeze in moments, or vanish into space. And yet, there's a poetic twist. Mars, in its youth, may have had oceans, lost billions of years ago, perhaps by the same process that would claim our water today. In a way, teleporting our oceans would be returning to Mars something it once possessed, a gift from the future to the past. The poetics of absence. The loss of oceans wouldn't just be an ecological disaster, it would be an existential void. The sea, with its tides, secrets, and abyssal depths, is a kind of collective consciousness. Every day, it reminds us of the vastness of existence and how small we truly are. Without the sea, humanity would be less inspired, less reflective, perhaps even less humble. The sea is the mirror in which we confront our dreams and our fears. It is the backdrop for great journeys, promises to return, farewells, and reunions. It's where time feels elastic, distances blur, and imagination is nourished. Taking the sea away would, in a sense, rob us of our ability to dream of horizons, the future of water, and of imagination. So what if, instead of teleporting our oceans away, we learned to care for them? What if we used the same creativity that imagined trips to Mars to safeguard the water we already have? Because at its heart, every big scientific question is born from awe, a sense of wonder at the world. To ask what if is not just to daydream, it's a call to responsibility. Perhaps in the end, the true value of water isn't on Mars, but right here, where it's needed, where it fuels our dreams, where it ties us to both past and future. The story of our planet is, above all, a story of seas, of floods and droughts, storms and calms, sailors and poets. Maybe when we imagine an ocean on Mars, we're really trying to glimpse, on another planet, what we risk losing here at home. So one last question remains. What kind of future do we want to build? A world where water is just a resource, or a world where it is a sacred bond connecting all that exists? Because when we look at Mars, that silent, dry neighbor, maybe we're not just seeing a distant planet. Maybe we're seeing a reflection of what could happen to us if we forget to care for what's most essential. Did you enjoy this imaginary journey? If this video sparked your curiosity, take a moment to subscribe, leave a like, and share in the comments. What other impossible scenarios would you like to see explored? Your engagement is the fuel that powers new journeys through the universe of ideas. Until next time.